paintbrush in your hand is like a loaded revolver. What will it be, Desperado? Quite a few things come to mind. You've spoken. The wall will now silently repeat the message for a decade or so, until the sea air degrades the paint, adding another layer of detritus to the city.
Very poetic. Real poetry. Should we return to our murder investigation? I hear there's a really bad one we are supposed to solve.
Vigilance officer, what can this old carabiner do for you?
It is such a pleasure.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Still no word, I'm afraid, sir. 57.
In the cabin, you see a...
Right to work! Shame on you!
Yes? What do you want to know? Yeah. 3 days ago, the RCM emerged. During that time, they didn't identify. There's a strong prejudice against involving the RCM in what's seen as union matters. The Dock Workers Union is the tip. That's right. Good.
The unpromising race pupil returns.
Mister, I'm not gonna...
Mr. Dubois, every worker, member of the board. How can I help you today? I'm very glad to hear that, Harry. One question. You didn't actually happen to stumble in and see what's inside the apartment, did you?
He's trying to figure out if you're lying.
Just as I thought. Culturally antiquated mug collection. What a weasel. Pissing on Everart's Rainbow Coalition.
He was testing you, and you succeeded.
Now let's get down to brass tacks. It's time for men like me and you to figure out who's killed who and why. Real police work is gonna start happening now. I promise you, Harry, this is gonna be good. By now, I'm sure you've figured out who the dead man was working for. The bad guys. Wild Pines. Sent to scare us. Another violent measure of the top hats against us flatcaps. Harry, this strike is the culmination of many, many mistakes made by the Wild Pines group. They tried to shut the strike down by sending in armed mercenaries.
You mean our victim?
A security contractor? Can you imagine that? Workers standing in peaceful protest, united in the spirit of fellowship, and they send hired killers to mow us down with machine gun fire?
He performs a motion as if spraying bullets from a machine gun.
I'm talking beasts. Hardened killers from proxy wars in Yisut, Semenine, Saramaritsa. You name it, they've done it. Raping, killing, burning villages, killing little children for the Senorita Pineapple Company, Harry. Everything they did there, they brought over here. They want to turn Revachol into a third world slum. Honestly, the only thing they didn't do is kill the village elephant. No, Harry, the elephant is metaphorical and so is the village, but the mercs and their brutality are very real. Now, I haven't personally witnessed the brutalities out there. I have the luxury of staying in my container, you see. If I need to go somewhere, they just move my container. Yes, I'm an old man, Harry. My legs aren't what they used to be. They lift my office with that big crane. It's actually very fun. You should try it. But enough about me and my fun container. The killers the company hired, I think there were 3 of them, all hardened commando types. One of them got downright suicidal, getting drunk, violent, a little rapey. Even their own negotiator couldn't control him. That's your boy, the one who likes hanging out and trees.
By negotiator, you mean Joyce?
Harry, what you need to realize is, we dock workers are not pushovers. We got grit, Harry. This whole neighborhood does. Push us hard enough and we push back. And when we do, we push to kill. Potentially, Harry, potentially. We got arm wrestling champions, rowing club people, ex-coal miners, tough guys, all ready to spring into action for their home base. There's a militant wing inside the Union, a group of people whose duties don't involve manual labor, but peacekeeping in the neighborhood, making sure everything runs smoothly.
That sounds a bit like organized crime.
They're like you guys. Idealistic people who want to make sure bad things don't happen. And if they already have, well, punishment must follow.
Again, that sounds like organized crime.
So these idealists killed our victim?
One day Titus Hardy, leader of this peacekeeping faction, comes up to me and says, "Boss, socialist democratic fervor drove us to take it upon ourselves to kill this beast that was burdening the land." He probably worded it differently, but that was the idea. Sure sounded to me like they killed him. I gave them 2 weeks paid leave and told them to lay low to avoid retaliation.
Aren't you worried we might arrest them for this?
Oh, I'm not at all worried about that. These are not the kind of men who get arrested. They're Martinez boys, tough and gritty. I'd like to see the man who takes them in. Besides, I sent my lawyer girl to look after them.
He places a lot of faith in that lawyer girl. Perhaps this is a tactical error? Anyway.
So they shot him.
He was shot in the head before he was hanged.
How odd. I don't know what to say, Lieutenant. They told me they hanged him. A hanged man is what I saw when I took a look into that yard.
It's impossible to say if he's telling the truth, sire.
What I do know is, the case is in safe hands. If anyone can get to the bottom of this shot and hanged man, it's my two little policemen. Godspeed, policeman. How do I know? Let me tell you about these people. That's their MO. It's what they do. Last winter, some poor workers in Terminal E went on a little strike. The company sent in Sediment, a security contractor. The strike was over the workers' right to wear protective footwear, Harry. These guys turn up and start beating people. Tell you what, Harry, I wouldn't be surprised if we got the same mercenary company, after a little rebranding. And I'm sure as hell not surprised to see an army of scabs under my gates.
So you believe the scabs were organized by the security contractor?
You said it. Hell, one of those guys looks big enough to take down that proverbial elephant. Boys like that don't just happen to show up during strikes. Of course, you're always one step ahead of me, Harry. I'm no genius. I'm in this position because people like me. Oh, Liz is a bright one. I paid for that law degree myself, thinking it'll probably turn her all fancy. But hell, Harry, she came back a firebrand socialist. Sometimes she scares me with her zeal.
Wait, the girl by the whirling, who was keeping an eye on you. Is he talking about her?
I did that, didn't I? She thinks of herself as a guerrilla fighter. These middle-class kids and the books they read are crazy, Harry. I think she would rather be an insurgent than a lawyer. I hope it's a phase. Oh, they are simply fine young men, all 7 of them. Exemplary union members, always working to advance their position in the local socialist democratic movement. Core members. Old Theo used to run them, but things really kicked into gear when Titus took the reins and named the group after himself. Gotta love his initiative.
Interesting. Who's second in command?
They're almost all of them great guys, born leaders. Whatever happened, I'm sure they only had the best interests of Martinez and Revachol in mind. Work with them. Hell, interview them. But don't fight them. They really are just like you. Men who like beer, women, and some order on the streets. But of course, it's the least I can do for my good friend Harry. I'll do it right after we've concluded this talk.
You can now go and tell Titus about this. See what he has to say.
Also, Harry, here's 5 real. I'm not giving you anything. I'm just holding out 5 real. Oh, I wasn't offering it to you, just holding it out there. But I'm willing to share information. Was there anything else? Was it a good talk? I'm not sure we made much headway here. I was hoping we'd bust the case wide open. Heck, I even wanted to tell you what I really want to achieve with the strike. I don't know what happened, Harry. I wanted you to feel like Mr. Martinez. And, of course, I also wanted you to find your gun. But it's like I can't completely trust you. Yet. Yes, Harry. It's like I can't fully trust you if you're not a man of the left. I want to, but I just can't.
A man of the left? So you have to be a social democrat?
Just between us, I don't care for those lefty dinks either. It's all about power, and here's how we're gonna get it. I need you to be my kingsman, Harry.
Kingsman? Yes. Please, let's be that.
And what would this entail?
Once again, I require nothing unethical or illegal of you. You just need to get 2 little signatures on this piece of paper, and then mail it to my accountant in La Delta. I'm glad you asked, Harry. The Union is going to build a modern youth centre in Martinez. It will be righteous. We're gonna get those teenagers off drugs and on roller skates. There's a nameless little street on the coast with some old houses around it. Most people have already signed. I just need 2 more signatures to get this mission off the ground, Harry.
It depends. I don't think what we just got from Mr. Clare was very useful.
But, he thinks, it's your call.
As I said, it weighs on me heavily. But once we get really talking, well, I'm going to hand you the keys to Martinez, and maybe even help you figure out who's behind this killing.
He's saying as little as possible, as vaguely as he can, deliberately omitting things.
Yes, the little cul-de-sac on the coast, where all the men have drowned, in either the sea or the bottle, a gloomy place, doesn't have that Union attitude.
You're already pretty deep into this. What's a little more? No one can see you here in Martinez.
They are just going to have to deal with the construction noise for 6 months, and then they'll be living like kings. Right next to a fancy new youth centre, designed by the best architects from Stella Marie.
Is he absolutely sure the tenants won't be thrown out in the street?
Am I? Harry, these people, Martinez is the most important thing in my life. I would never let anything bad happen to them. We're going to build a youth centre there. The value of their properties goes up and kids have a place to play in. I'm looking out for these people, not pulling the rug from under them, Harry. I'm looking out for all of Martinez, not just the harbour. You bring joy to my heart, Harry. Such a pleasure to be working with you. Here. You need to get signatures from Isabel Sadie and Lillian Carter. The cul-de-sac is right past the pawn shop and across the canal. I heard there was some trouble with the water lock, but it should be fixed now. Once you have the signatures, mail this to 13022 La Rocca in La Delta. Then I'll know you're a real Kingsman and a patriot. Oh, that's very nice. I haven't gotten around to her yet. I'm very, very busy, you see. I hope you're getting along. One thing I want to make very clear, Harry, is that this is not some kind of union versus corporation situation. Everyone is just pals here. We're all trying to do what's best for Martinez. Don't feel like you can't cooperate with her because you and I are such good friends and I'm helping you find your lost gun. I'm not a jealous guy. If she actually wants to see me, she will find a way. Any good negotiator would. And I just don't have anything to discuss with a bad negotiator.
It's a fortress. He knows she can't get in here. He doesn't want to see her. It's as simple as that.
What do you mean, Harry? Nothing. I let him go. He's an old man, Harry. I wanted him to spend more time with his family. God knows how long he's got left. Harry! I have little people in my organization. I would never call someone a midget. What is this? Honestly, I'm beginning to think you're a midget, Harry. I'm only kidding, Harry. You're not a midget. No one is. We're pals. It's perfectly okay. Even if you've told her everything we've talked about, it's absolutely fine.
You cannot but notice the prospect of you telling Joyce about your conversations is actually pleasing, Everard.
No, Harry. I'm perfectly neutral and 100% for transparency. I know people say a lot of bad things about the Debardairs Union, but we are actually squeaky clean.
Yes, he really doesn't seem to mind.
Vanished? Harry, the woman left her casserole in the oven and couldn't make it here in time for the voting. Oh, did I leave my casserole on? Better go home and check. The election can wait. When she got back, the whole thing was over.
Wait, there was no mention of a casserole from Joyce.
Harry, Harry, Harry. Do not fixate on this little matter. Maybe it was a rabbit stew, or a hairdryer, or an iron. The point is, her heart wasn't in it. Mine was.
This particular brand of humor he has, it makes for a fine distraction.
Yes, yes. Low balling, of course. This isn't a casino, Harry. Real people, real livelihoods are at stake here. But everything's a casino for those rich types.
His expression makes it clear. This is childish and irresponsible behavior.
Of course, Harry. Let me just assure you one more time. It's perfectly okay to share anything we discuss here with this Joyce. I have no interest in what she is doing, but I myself have nothing to hide. Your business is your business, and I respect your privacy. Just remember, none of this is secret. Tell her about all of it. My brother's picture, my singing swordfish clock. Tell her how overweight I am and how I'm helping you find your lost gun. Tell her about everything. Everard doesn't mind.
It is rather interesting to tell people things about each other, isn't it? It was nice telling him about her right now.
Most certainly, Harry. Nothing brightens my day like brainstorming these things with. By all means, Harry. What's on your mind? What? Harry, how could you say that to me? You know I appreciate a joke as much as any jolly fat guy, but I can't take slander. Are you actually investigating this?
The reaction appears to be sincere, but it's impossible to tell with this guy, honestly.
You've hurt me, Harry. Me, a friend. But you know what? I trust you, like I trust all my friends. And I know you'll never talk to me about this again, because you don't want to wound me. So do what you want, and let's change the subject.
He's hiding his real reaction beneath courtesy.
Thank you for your understanding. We will continue to do what we must.
You too, Lieutenant. You know, I like you, but you never were my favorite. I'm a Harry guy. I'm Team Harry.
None taken. Do we have anything else to do here, Harry?
Mr. Dubois, every worker, member of the board. How can I help you today? No, you didn't. I know the mailman, Harry. I know everyone and everything that happens in this town, and I know there's no letter in that mailbox yet. Just like I know you'll get it done. Once you stop horsing around, let me know when it's done. By all means, Harry. What's on...
Take the legal documents out of the envelope, a 12 to 40 month construction period, and the zoning plan in the addendum. The youth center cuts into the ocean like the bow of some great modern ship. Apparently, it's going to cover most, if not all, of the street and the square between the existing houses. It's 3 stories tall. It's going to be awfully close to the already existing buildings, almost wall to wall, practically integrating them into the youth center.
I'm no property lawyer, but it looks fine. I like the print size. They're not selling or leasing anything. It's not a perfect solution, but...
How else are you going to build something? It's always inconvenient to build things, and citizens inevitably have disagreements over such construction projects. But there's no other way. There is no loophole. The simple truth is the current residents are going to lose their street access, and for the next 12 to 40 months, their lives will be dominated by constant construction noise right next door. Once the construction starts, it'll probably take a few months, a year maybe, for even the most stubborn occupants to get tired of living like this. After that, they'll sell their property for cheap and move out.
I should have seen it. Evrard probably has eyes on us, but we could try to get other people to sign this instead of those listed. Or you could forge their signatures yourself. By the time he finds out, we'll already be gone.
You take the legal documents out of the envelope. A 12 to 40 month construction period. You take the legal document.
Hola, Wandering Man.
Looking for something? Looking for something? I don't know what you're talking about. Listen up, fuckwits. You don't scare me. You cops don't run Revachol West. You don't run Martinez. You don't run anything.
No. He means La Puta Madre.
A legendary, and not in a good way, crime boss from Jamrock controls what is probably the most powerful organized crime outfit in Revachol West.
Yeah, him.
Then I presume you are familiar with his peonies.
Yeah, they're his little bitches. He's got them all over the unions.
Not just the unions. He has peonies everywhere. Some say he even has them in the RCM. Dirty fucking peonies who'd do anything for him. Multi-ethnic drug addicts.
The lieutenant adopts a rodentine quality. Be cool, sire. He's getting into this.
You're not peonies. You wouldn't be investigating a drug thing if you were.
No, of course not. We are not peonies. But if we were, and one of Madre's drivers were to be stealing from him, then it's a good peony's job to find out who that is.
He's surprisingly good at this. Not bad at all. Look at him lurching.
It's not a hard job. It won't take a long time. It won't make Madre angry. But a stupid fucking racist is standing in the way, protecting this fucking thief.
I'm not scared of you or the mob. I'm under the protection of the Lorrymen and Carters Guild.
You've seen that corpse in the ceramic armor there. Did his shitty little guild protect him?
Nah, you wouldn't just leave him out there if you...
The lieutenant turns and gives you a barely perceptible nod. Be careful. This man's still got some fight in him, by the looks of it. It won't be easy to break him.
Looking for something?
Men like this only respect two things: strength and fear.
Fuck you, I told you. I'm not gonna...
There. His voice grows smaller, as yours.
Fucking homo cop. Look, fuck you, man. It's some lorry down there. Green banged up thing. I don't fucking know who she is.
When did she go away?
I don't know. I don't even know her name. She just rolls with the fleet and acts like a big shot. Some dyke, probably. I haven't even seen her for days. Past the monument, down there. The Green Temple. Now leave me the fuck alone, okay?
A small temple by the monument. Green. Let's get into that lorry.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo.
This screen found, A to Z, Contemporaire, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days.
This must be the one he told us about, unless he was lying.
The glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of a seat and two steering levers. Posters cover the small windows in the back. You can't make out what's on them. The door is locked. The handle looks shiny, like it's recently replaced. There's no picking this lock. The owner has put special care into it.
Use the pry bar to smash the window. Open it from the inside. This has been hard enough. No need to make it any harder.
This screen found, A to Z, Contemporaire, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen that pry bar in hand, you take a hard swing at the window. A loud thunk rings out. Looks like the window might be shatterproof. You may have to rethink your approach.
No, it's not shatterproof. Give me that.
He smashes it into the window. Droplets of glass fly everywhere, shattering over the lorry. The smell of cigarette burns. This screen found, A to Z, pry bar in. This screen found, A to Z, pry bar, looks like. This screen found, A to Z, Contemporaire, pry bar in hand. This screen found, A to Z. With a firm grip, you raise the pry bar, a glint of light catching on the tip. Call down the hammer of truth and justice. Release your secrets, lorry cabin. The window shatters and droplets of glass fly everywhere, shattering over the lorry floor and pavement.
Subtle.
The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals. There's something odd about the passenger seat. The seating fabric has been pulled tight over the lower side of the seat where the toolbox should be. These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye, a centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat. There's definitely perfume in the air. It's spicy, with a hint of amberette, wafting through the bitter air of the cabin. The remnants of a sweet juniper-scented perfume, probably Grenade No. 5. The actress is draped in a sheathed dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. This is Tip Tijon, a starlet from the dawn of cinematography, less known for her talent than her tragic, untimely death. She wasted away in a drug den called the Door to the River, not far from here on Boogie Street, a mixture of cocaine and morphine. She was afraid of the world, and the camera, too. The actresses and the rear actor all smile you a warm goodbye. A radio transmitter is attached to the dashboard, and a toolbox sits under the driver's. A metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's empty, except for it's an issue of Périphérique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages. It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the Ulan frequency system.
The Ulan frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. The rest is as it was. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least.
It has to be an advanced model to fit so many frequencies next to each other without blending them together.
Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without a dial key. For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all shortwave, UW and UKV. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool. The nerve center of a huge operation. With quite a range, too.
A 20-kilometer radius at least. Perhaps extended by an attachable antenna that's not here right now.
No, that's on 78.9. What? I happen to have committed the frequency to memory. I have no problem admitting that.
The ghostly actresses, and you wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip.
Sandpaper? A novel technique? Yes? Which means that the missing lady driver was present at the lynching. Looks like her, yes. Now we know for certain who's the missing 8th person at the lynching. Do you think that Hardy and his boys could also be involved in the drug operation? You're right. But we should still go and see what Titus has got to say on the matter. Are we finished with the lorry?
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls. The radio transmitter sits on the center console and a faint smell of perfume is in the air. Voila! A stack of neatly folded papers has been stashed behind the seating fabric. You see 3 maps depicting a large metropolitan area. It's Revachol. Some of its routes and highways have been outlined with a pen.
Bonne prise.
This large map displays the elevated motorway called 881. The intake leading to Martinez is marked with a blue X. There's another X on the off-ramp at a place called the Old South. Toll booths at the intakes are marked with a circle. It looks like there are scant few ways of getting onto the elevated motorway that runs over Jamrock, and this person knows them all. There, hundreds of thousands of motor carriages roar on the 881, high above the mass of brown and red roofs that is Jamrock. The commuters don't even look down. To Couronne, through the middle-income neighborhoods there, by the river, and then to Stella Maris and La Delta for work, while the men and women of Jamrock scuttle to their fates below. This municipal map from the 30s displays a complex system of storm sewers underneath a sub-district called the Pox. Oh, wind rips through the empty hallways of the once great military hospital, now just a ruin under an overgrown park. Beneath the hospital, great sewer tunnels hum and vibrate with life of their own. The rattle of motor carriages and lorries driving through long-forgotten tunnels. The final map displays a labyrinth of service tunnels left over from the construction of Motorway 881. A few routes have been marked with a pen, where the tunnels and sewers surface near the eminent domain and a traffic island in central Jamrock by the lake. These service tunnels were probably used during the construction of the foundation beneath the motorway. Despite the cold, figures move about cloaked in shadow, their breath escaping in white clouds that fade into the darkness. They travel from eminent domain to perdition and onto the main, over the River Esperance, on Route 881 to the Old South. The exit ramp is supposed to be shut down, but the road spreads like the tentacles of a great octopus. Looks like the smugglers have infiltrated the road network belonging to East Motor Tract.
So it would seem. The RCM patrols most of these auxiliary roads, though apparently not all of them. It's definitely not the Union. They just do some logistics. This operation has spread everywhere in Jamrock. If it's that widespread, then Madre remains the most likely suspect. Here's bad news. There have been attempts at a serious investigation before, but they haven't ended well for those involved. Hard to say. This distribution network looks certainly large, yet still vague enough. It doesn't reveal much about the Besmerti behind it. The Besmerti is a Revacholian crime syndicate. They see themselves as the inheritors of the 14 Revacholian Indo-tribes, but really they're just violent gangs vying for control on the west side of Revachol. With cool names like La Puta Madre and Aura Masta, it's a dark parody. Best not to disturb the scene. I'll have forensics go over the lorry and pick this up later.
The stack of maps looks just like before, barely noticeable. The movie stars look silently by, and the pull-out toolbox has a rubber handle, worn from years of use. You close the rusty old lorry.
Great. I think we got everything. A word, detective? Before we return to Joyce? All right, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep. Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net.
This means it's well funded. Technology like that, a major player must be financing it.
I'm not sure what the ULAN frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks. Oh, and the maps we found. They reveal the geographical extent of the operation. Looks like they've used abandoned tunnels and access roads to stay hidden. This is useful info. And last but not least, it looks like the Hardy Boys knew this driver, as we know that she was present at the lynching. This may be the Union connection we've been searching for.
The probe and the case converged, he thinks. This was quite the find.
As elegant as they are, I don't think they are relevant to the drug trade. Yes, well... Like Joyce told us, yes, logistically. But don't expect to bust this open during our stay here. At best, this is an angle we can use against them to other ends as extra ammunition.
Meaning, someone as slippery as Everard won't be caught by a couple of cops and some stuff they found in some cabin.
We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not want to get caught in that. The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause. An investigation, I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome. All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either. Debrief over. After you.
For something?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out tool.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Still no word, I'm afraid, sir. I know it's just a moment.
10-4, come in, officer. Over. 10-4, sir, glad to hear that. I'll write down that there is no need to issue a new one to you then. Over. Roger that, 10-10, over and out.
Kuno saw you wheeled that can. Sweet graffito action, pig. Kuno likes that delinquent shit. Kuno's part is. You're just shit at life. Now what's your case with Kuno? The fuck about it? Fuck are you talking about? What is this contusion shit?
He says you're stupid, Kuno. They want to make you stupid again.
Oh, did Kuno make your shit sniffing harder? Obstruction of shit sniffing? This is Kuno's kingdom. Kuno fucking rules here.
You hear the lieutenant hum.
Kuno doesn't give a shit about the armor. That fucking had one thing majorly wrong with him. He's a fucking mutant. Do you remember how he looked? Fucking growth hormone shit. He's a giant. The armor's too big for any man. Kuno doesn't give a shit about that freak armor. Kuno threw that shit away. Kuno tried to get the helmet on. It was too big. Kuno kicked that shit in the sea, rugby style. That shit means nothing to Kuno. Yeah, that shit means nothing to Kuno. Kuno doesn't give a shit about material shit. Kuno's a fucking monk. You wanna fuck on someone about that armor? Go fuck the mustached union fuck. The jolly troubadour shit at the gates. Yeah, cock and boot. You know that jolly union cow fucker? Came around talking about cows or some shit? Came around pretending like he cares about cows?
Yes, you met him at the gates. The one with the boots and the jolly smile.
Yeah, he's the one you want to talk to. He's fucking crazy about that armor shit. Coming here pretending like he likes cows. Trying to catch a peep at Kuno's armor.
Curious, my liege. Why did Kuno feed you this information?
Yeah, Kuno's doing charity today. Kuno Day. Kuno feels sorry for you two loser pigs. Kuno's doing pity now.
Still, seems suspicious. He may have it in for that guy. Or you may be paranoid. That is also a possibility, sire.
You're testing Kuno's patience here.
Get lost,
Yeah, the kingdom of Kuno. The fuck do you want with it? Yeah, whatever. Kuno, the fuck do you want with it? Good call, Pigmite. Kuno...
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? It doesn't really matter, and I do apologize for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this.
One of the tall buildings overlooking the roundabout, most likely. That would give them a read on the entire quarter.
In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I am sure you understand.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries.
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West.
Since you are sharing, ma'am, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. They were dispatched after I relayed the Union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply an opening gambit, like you suggested, or a joke even. They did not appreciate the humor. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenell, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenell contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants. It is very far from disco. My only hope is that you provide a single, concrete suspect before the mercenaries indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good, and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
The Debardeurs have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty.
The Serai's giant hornet, the world's 2nd largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours.
These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all.
The muzzle loaders need to be reloaded after every 1 or 2 shots. The automatics every 1 or 2 minutes.
As I said, a bloodbath. Many bleak scenarios have already come true. Nameless, badgeless detective of the citizens' militia. All we can do is keep the rest from going the same way. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. If you mean did I see him alive, yes. But I did not know him. Lerly, his service name, a nom de guerre, most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age.
Indeed. This matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body. What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. The remaining contractors, their tribunal, that the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place? And when?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor. About a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe. Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell. They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman Lorenz, Eendracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
Meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors, Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. I wouldn't go as far as to use that term to test it.
It's the expression she objects to.
Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, ma'am?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenel. I have. And they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us.
She's being truthful. She is pressing them as hard as she can.
They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbour gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is keeping the peace.
That would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible.
Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a short wave at the ship's wheel. I hope I can answer it better. Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob. And
they don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. It's a matter of days, not weeks. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask. By love, you did.
Fast, observantly, like an electronic printer.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Freighter? Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
For about half a minute, in silence. She wears fingerless gloves. Her fingernails are cut short and fractured, like those of a working woman.
It was taken with a trigette not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Close. Port cities. This is an Oronese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Dolorian century. Over 300 years ago, the sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it. Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think.
What next?
Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Semines Islands, Revachol. Those are the two constants, Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Interinsulary Age.
The old world passing by, and the new world already here.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning.
In Martinez, looking into Krenel, he writes in one. Then the man puts down his pen and rubs his temples with both hands. Outside, there is a siren. Distant gunshots on the streets of the Jamrock Quarter. Vredefort? Vredefort has a military academy. The Seminese Islands saw a recent conflict. In Revachol, he was executed.
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos.
For all the boys looking for adventure, a blood spatter on the seas.
His platoon members? The other contractors. Though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade.
Surely there are other people to ask about the tattoo. This is not necessary to complete the task, officer. It's a dangerous side task. Search elsewhere.
Do what you have to do, Detective Dubois. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security. But if you should wade into the mob to find out, I couldn't stop you.
We will be careful, ma'am.
Is there anything else I can help you with?